Hello folks and welcome back to another episode of the Potspoon Kitchen. As you have seen in the title, today we are going to be making two different pilaus. We are going to be making Trinidad and Tobago's famous pilau, and we are going to be making the famous East African pilau. Overall, these two recipes are absolutely delicious. A slight difference in spelling by one letter, but they carry two different flavor profiles, two different cooking methods, and yet they are both smoky and similar in appearance in the end. The purpose of this video is to showcase cultural similarities through food. Today we are going to be making Trinidad and Tobago's beef pilau, and then we are going to transition and head to East Africa where we will be making an East African beef pilau. There are so many different ways to do East African pilau, the same way that we would do in Trinidad and Tobago. Not every household would make a pilau the same way, and so it is in East Africa. However, we are going to be using the basic flavor profile of the East African pilau. Let's begin to prepare Trinidad and Tobago's beef pilau. Season the beef by adding a half cup of chopped onions. And the Trinidad pilau, we normally marinate our meat. You can marinate it overnight. Some people freeze their meat when it's marinated, but you must marinate your meat, even give it 1 hour. So I've added 3 tablespoons of chopped garlic. I'm adding 2 tablespoons of ginger. In this ramekin, I have 1 sprig of green onion, and I have 2 seasoning peppers. Normally I would add all of this to a blender, but for the purpose of the video to show what I'm using, I'm going to do it individually. I have some Shano Beni, and I'm adding 2 heaping tablespoons. I don't like it spicy, so I will add 1 teaspoon of Scotch bonnet pepper sauce that you can find on my channel. Some of you have been asking me what is Garlic Plus. This is a Clubhouse brand, and it's just a mixture of herbs, spices, garlic, peppers, etc. I'm going to shake in about a teaspoon, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, and I'm using 1 teaspoon of salt to start off. We're going to mix this up, and before I forget, we're adding 2 sprigs of thyme. Mix our meat up, and we're going to allow it to marinate for about an hour. As opposed to the East African pilau, we burn our sugar with a little bit of oil, and we create a Maillard reaction. That's how we get the smokiness in our pilau. So I'm going in with 3 tablespoons of oil. The East African pilau relies heavily on the spices that are burnt for the color, and overall you still get a smokiness in the East African pilau. I like to add a little bit of garlic. And I'm also adding 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. This is going to caramelize and become brown. I like to add the garlic because the garlic gives it a nice infusion, and the smell is totally different. Once it becomes nice and smoky and foamy like this, and it gets a nice brown color, you can make pilau in any shade of brown that you want, and I will stop right about here. So you want to add your beef to this. Coat the meat in the browning, and at this time I like to add 2 bay leaves and 1 teaspoon of clove powder. The garlic in the browning, if you haven't tried it, I definitely encourage you to try it. It goes very well with the clove, and the aroma just takes it to a whole new level. Once you have coated the meat, you want to cover it up and allow the meat itself to spring the juices. And while the juices are springing, it's going to get even darker in color. Let's cover it up. This is what we are looking like after 10 minutes. You have two options. You can pressure cook the beef, cook it directly in the pressure cooker, or you can keep boiling the beef away until it's nice and soft. But if the beef is a very tough beef, it's going to take quite a while to break down. So I like to add this to my pressure cooker to pressure it to save time. Our beef has been pressured. We have some nice juicy tender pieces of beef. So now it's time to add the rice and assemble the pilau. I am adding 3 cups of parboiled rice washed, and we're going to coat our rice in our juices. The pressure cooker would have cooked out some of our flavors. So we're going to add back flavors to the rice. I'm adding back a tablespoon of garlic. In this bowl I have some parsley, I have 1 flavor pepper, and I have some Tsp Scallion. 2 tablespoons of shallow Beni, 1 tablespoon of ginger, ketchup, 4 tablespoons, 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter, and we're going to give our pot a nice mix up. I'm adding 3 cups of coconut milk to cover the rice. About a teaspoon of black pepper, 1 teaspoon of salt, 2 beef bouillon, or you want to use a pack of Maggi. And just as the East African pilau, not everyone makes it the same. Some persons would put sweet peppers, some people would put carrots. There's a lot of different ways how to make pilau versus pilau. It also depends on how I feel on a given day. If I feel like I want the flavors of some sweet pepper in here, then I will also add that to the pilau. You want to taste it to make sure that you have enough salt. I'm adding a little bit of Scotch bonnet hot sauce and some more salt to it. So we're going to cover this up and we're going to let it cook for about 20 minutes. Cover it up. Our pilau is done. We're going to mix up our rice. There's a nice crust at the bottom, and that right there is the best part for me. We are going to be making an East African pilau masala, and this is the flavor profile of the East African pilau. We have half teaspoon of ground clove, 2 teaspoons of cumin powder, 12 cardamom pods, 1.5 teaspoon of black pepper corn. We have 1 teaspoon of coriander seeds. We are using 1 teaspoon of fennel powder, and we have 1 bay leaf. On low heat, I am adding the seeds to toast up because the powders have already been toasted. We are toasting these to release the oils. and to give it a nice smokiness. Once the spices have been toasted, turn off the heat and allow them to slightly cool down. We are adding our spices into our spice grinder, and I'm adding the powders back because I want to infuse everything together. We can't forget our bay leaf. And in goes our seeds. And we're going to turn this into an aromatic powder. Our aromatic pilau masala is ready. Simply pass it through a strainer and you're going to get a very nice and smooth pilau masala. But I'm not going to throw this away because I'm going to use this to prepare the meat, as it's already coarse and has flavor. I am using a pressure cooker to do this, to pressure my meat, and you can use a pot as well. So I am adding back the flavors that I left behind on my strainer to the meat, instead of adding whole spices again. I am using 2 small beef bouillon because we're going to be using the broth to cook the rice. We're using a small piece of cinnamon, and I didn't add this to the masala because it's going to extract in the liquid, and we're going to add the liquid into the rice. 2 teaspoons of salt, 3 cups of water, and we want the beef to be very soft. We want the beef to be nice and fork tender. All of this is flavor that is going to go back into our pilau. Cover it up, and we're going to pressure it for 25 to 30 minutes. In Trinidad and Tobago, we normally burn our sugar and create a Maillard reaction, and that gives our pilau a smokiness. But for the East African pilau, it's a bit different. So I'm going to go in with 3 tablespoons of oil, and this is going to be on medium heat. And in this plate I have 1 large red onion that was sliced. So we're going to caramelize this, and it's going to take quite a while the beef is cooking. We're going to keep turning this and eyeballing it occasionally because we want a really nice caramelization. We have about 15 more minutes on the beef, so this should take about 15 minutes. They are nicely caramelized and our beef is ready. And I've strained off the liquid, which is the broth, and have a nice beef base to add to our rice. I like to use my favorite cuts of beef, and I like bone beef. I'm going to add this to our pot, and we are adding this without the liquid because we are going to brown the beef. We're going to leave this on cover for about 25 minutes and allow the onions to get more brown, because that's where the color of the rice is going to come from. So this is ready, and this took me about 15 minutes. And as I add the liquid, the brownness of the onions and the meat is going to distribute into the rice, and that's how you get the color along with the pilau masala. One tablespoon of pilau masala, and we're going to mix this in with the meat, and they're going to toast up even more. Folks, you should smell this. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel and share the video. Help me to grow the channel. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell another friend. 3 cups of a good quality basmati rice, and this is long grain basmati rice. And we're gonna coat everything and infuse everything together. Once a liquid goes in, it's gonna infuse, and we're not gonna add salt to this. Our salt is in our beef broth. It's so funny how the world is so similar but yet so different. We are adding back our broth. And the color is coming together nicely. We're going to cover this up and allow the rice to cook according to package instructions. And my rice takes about 15 minutes to be well done. Taste for salt, make sure that we have enough. And we're going to cover this over. See you in 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, this is what we are looking like. You can add a variety of ingredients to this, including tomato paste, but I prefer not to add the tomato paste to this. You can add garlic, some fresh herbs as well. And it's as similar as it can get to a Trinidad pilau, but the method and the ingredients are totally different. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, drop a subscribe, share the video, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell another friend. At this time, I encourage you to watch some more of my recipe videos. Thank you for joining. See you in the next recipe video.